proposed coal mine planned for rich farmland on the Liverpool Plains in the northwest slopes of New South Wales now looks unlikely to go ahead, with the Berejiklian government likely to buy out the remaining licence from its Chinese owners. It follows a 13-year-long campaign by farmers to stop the Shenhua watermark open-cut coal mine from going ahead. Tim Duddy is a Liverpool Plains farmer who's been campaigning against the mine, and he joins me now. Tim Duddy, welcome.
Thanks.
This has been a long road for you. You've been fighting. This has taken up much of your life for the last 14 years. What does it feel like now that you've got to this moment where it seems like you'll be able to wave this off for good?
Well, we've been here before, Joe. It does need to be settled. It's not settled till the ink's dry on the contract. Mike Baird started these discussions about exiting Shenhua, and hopefully the Premier will be able to land that. But this is a project that should never have been proposed, let alone put a community through what they've put this community through doing it.
How confident are you this is actually going to happen? Does it feel like it will?
Well, certainly the fact that it's been leaked in a marginal election campaign where coal is a big issue, I would think it's pretty good indication that it's on. And there's been a lot of discussion in the background. People have mentioned it in departments that it is happening. So I suspect that it's ready to go. And so it will be announced with a lot of fanfare when they do it along the way.
But you've been around this block before, so you're still very cautious.
Many times. We've had many premiers, prime ministers and the like make lots of promises along the way, and they've all amounted to naught. And until it's actually done, it's not done.
So for people unfamiliar with this, just tell us about the land up there, what was proposed and what's happened over the last 14 years.
So it's a little longer than 14 years. In 2004, the Mineral Resources Department announced that they were releasing exploration licences over the area. They gave the first one to Karuna, to BHP, and the second one to Shenhua Watermark a couple of years later. The community absolutely went berserk, because the Liverpool Plains is host of the largest underground water resource in the entire Murray-Darling Basin, and we did not believe at that time, and still do not believe to this date, that mining of that scale is compatible with those water resources. And the water resources underlay the most fertile agricultural land in the entire country, some of the best agricultural land fertility-wise in the entire world, and to put that kind of agricultural resource at risk for a project that only had a 30-year lifespan was not something the community could see value in.
Now, what toll has this taken on the community and the small township of Corindai there over the years?
Well, Corindai has collapsed in that time. The Corindai is a shadow of its former self. Real estate speculation went on when these exploration licences were issued initially, and that speculation meant that people that didn't understand that you need to go and buy from the local corner shop moved there, and when that happened, the town actually died. Corindai, in my lifetime, was one of the most vibrant small towns you would ever imagine, and now it's looking very sad indeed. And hopefully, as this progresses, and people realise that these areas are now immune from mining as such, because one would expect that there will be the Liverpool Plains Protection Bill at this, to put this to bed forever, that these towns will reinvigorate with a whole new life with agro-tourism and as a gateway to the largest agricultural resource that the country's got.
And what toll has it taken psychologically on people over that period?
It's been desperate. The mining laws are such that from the day they give an exploration licence to when they start to mine, if you do any capital development on your farm, the miners are not compelled to pay for that capital development. So for 10 years, the whole area just stagnated until such time as everyone went, enough's enough, and we continued to build anyway in the end. And, you know, we've been through drought, very serious drought, and so to not be able to develop in that time for this thing that was coming over the hill to move you out of the way was pretty awful. I mean, people have certainly had lives shortened because of the stress that this created.
Do you feel like this is potentially, though, a landmark moment in this ongoing tussle that we have between the mining industry and the agricultural industry?
I think it's a very good start, but I think this is a great testimony to the power that a community's got when they actually believe in something passionately. And we had a lot of people that latched on to our community along the way, under the guise of wanting to help, and some did and some didn't. But the community believed that this was wrong right from the onset, and they were unwavering in that space. And people did sell out to the mines because they did what they needed to do in their business, in their succession planning, in any of those things.
And was that pretty divisive in the community?
That was not as divisive in our community as it was in many others, because we made a very conscious decision not to allow that to divide the community. Because in many other areas that did divide a community when one person would be bought out and the next door neighbour wouldn't. But in our community, that did not divide people as such, and I'm very proud of the fact that the community worked together so strongly to make that happen like that. And now those lands, under the Foreign Investment Review Board conditions, need to be sold within 13 months of this mine not being granted approval as such, or by whatever process that is. So we will be into a new agricultural generation and a new agricultural growth. But the thing is that's very sad to me, for the $500 million, in excess of $500 million that's been paid back to the miners, if we had spent that money on agricultural development in that area, the thing that we would have would be second to none in the world. And that money was wasted, and we told them that they were wasting it the day they gave those licences. And the opportunities that were lost by not understanding the value of that agriculture is something that this state will take a very, very long time to recover from. And I hope that now, as people look at agriculture, they look at this as something we do need to spend proper money on. We do need to develop. We can't look back now. We look forward, and we look to the new bit and how we're going to make the area viable again.
You've made contacts with other farming communities around New South Wales and Australia through this battle over the years. Are there other examples where this is happening now, where you say rich agricultural land is at risk?
Oh, absolutely. There are innumerable ones, and for all different reasons. Some it's the water, some it's the land, some it's the downstream impacts of, what happens when rivers get polluted and it ends up in oyster farms. There's a whole lot of things. But what it is, it's an example of how poor the planning is, that people just open a map up, draw a line on it and go, oh, let's have a look here. And we actually do need to look back and see what we're doing and how we're doing it. Because, the things that have occurred in the Hunter Valley, and it's brought a huge amount of money to the nation, but those things have occurred without planning, that if they had been planned, they could have still had the resources to the state and made it a much better place to live in with a lot better diversity. So instead of us in 10 years' time, when as the coal industry winds down, suddenly going, oh my God, what do we do now? You would actually have other things left. And that planning is something that we need to do as a nation.
And so those lessons still have to be learned?
Absolutely. And, just because one mine is good doesn't mean that 31 mines is better. We actually need to pause, to plan, to work out what we're doing, and so that everyone understands that we need these lands to grow potatoes and these lands to grow our wheat and this water to do whatever, but you can't just go and dig it all up because there's something underneath it without an understanding of what it does in the entire ecosystem of what we're doing.
Okay, Tim Duddy, thanks for coming in and having a chat, and looking forward to having another chat to you when this is confirmed, if it is going to be confirmed.
Indeed, Joe, so do I. Thank you very much.